Within the Orthodox Christian tradition, the liturgical life of the Church is not simply a set of practical tasks but the sacramental participation of the faithful in the heavenly worship. Every action in the altar, handling sacred vessels, assisting the clergy, and moving within the holy space behind the iconostasis, is grounded in a theological and ecclesiological framework that has been received and preserved through the centuries. From this standpoint, the introduction of altar girls is seen as incompatible with Orthodox theological anthropology, liturgical continuity, and the symbolism embedded in the worship of the Church. 1. Continuity of holy tradition. The Orthodox Church's consistent practice has been to reserve service in the altar to bishops, priests, deacons, subdeacons, and male servers. This is rooted not in cultural prejudice but in the Church's understanding of tradition as the lived expression of the Holy Spirit across the ages. Liturgical roles are not arbitrary assignments, they reflect and express the Church's sacramental order. Altering these roles, especially in ways detached from the organic development of tradition, would imply that liturgical practice is merely cultural or administrative rather than sacramental. The Church Fathers often emphasize that innovations in the worship of the Church risk distorting the very faith they express. The patristic principle lex orandi, lex credendi, the rule of prayer is the rule of belief, underscores that changes to worship entail changes to belief. Introducing altar girls would therefore touch not only practice but doctrine, specifically the Church's understanding of order, ministry, and the symbolism of liturgical service. 2. Symbolic and theological meaning of the altar. In Orthodox theology, the altar symbolizes both the Holy of Holies and the tomb of Christ. Those who serve within it participate in the liturgical order that reflects the apostolic and angelic hierarchy. Male servers, even when unordained, represent the diaconal and subdiaconal roles tied to the apostolic ministry, which is itself iconographically male. Their service reflects a continuity with the early Church, which never assigned liturgical functions in the altar to women. This symbolism is not rooted in notions of superiority or inferiority but in the differentiation of roles grounded in a sacramental understanding of human nature. Just as the Theotokos has a unique and irreplaceable role in salvation history that is not interchangeable with that of the Apostles, so too the Church recognizes distinct but complementary vocations for men and women. The presence of female servers in the altar would obscure these symbolic distinctions, flattening the theological depth of liturgical space. 3. The Orthodox understanding of gendered vocation. The Orthodox Church teaches that men and women are equal in dignity and worth, both created in the image of God and capable of attaining the likeness of God through grace. Equality, however, does not erase differences in roles within the life of the Church. The sacramental priesthood is male, following the example of Christ and the unbroken apostolic tradition. Altar service, though not sacramental ordination, is intimately tied to the liturgical actions of the clergy, forming a preparatory and supportive role within a male clerical hierarchy. Orthodox anthropology recognizes that liturgical roles are not interchangeable or reducible to tasks. The Church does not regard service in the altar as a reward or privilege from which women are excluded. Rather, it understands that the liturgical roles assigned to each sex must reflect the theological realities expressed in the worship of the Church. 4. Pastoral and practical considerations. Introducing altar girls would also create pastoral dissonance within Orthodoxy, where the practice has never been part of the tradition and where altar service is often understood as a formative experience leading young men toward potential vocations to the diaconate or priesthood. Altering this practice would disrupt the structure of mentorship and discernment embedded in parish life. Moreover, the Orthodox faithful expect that the holy space of the altar will reflect the universal and continuous practice of the Church. Innovations, especially those reflecting trends in other Christian traditions, can cause confusion, weaken ecclesial identity, and diminish the sense of continuity that is at the heart of Orthodox ecclesiology. Conclusion. From an Orthodox Christian perspective, the practice of altar girls is incompatible with the Church's understanding of tradition, the theological symbolism of the altar, and the distinct liturgical vocations of men and women. The issue is not one of cultural bias or perceived inequality but one of fidelity to the sacramental order of the Church. Maintaining male altar servers preserves the integrity of Orthodox worship, its continuity with the apostolic age, and the theological coherence of its liturgical life.